of people have been talking about Anders not being on this album and not being on the Gates, and people were talking about maybe his collaboration on the composition of the songs. And now that you are not with him, now that you've been releasing an album and touring without him, how do you see it from your point of view? Was he that important on his collaboration with?
I'm sorry. What was the last thing you said?
Was that important? His contribution, his collaboration on the input final result of At the Gates.
Yeah, of course it was. He was a huge part of.
Because people always talk about Jonas and Tenenberg, right?
Yeah. But as Thomas has said in a lot of interviews, people tend to forget about Jonas' input even before,
right?
Because he wrote, if not half of the material, maybe 30-40% of the material from for a very long time. So this was a good opportunity for him to step up and prove himself that he could do it without Anders, without his brother, and I'm super happy that he that he managed. Yeah.
Great. So, do you think that At the Gates now it's a more diverse band? Because when people first think about At the Gates, they always mention Slaughter of the Soul, and for me, I think Thomas Lindberg also say that album, even though it's quite good, is one-dimensional. It's like 30-something minutes of the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? And At the Gates has previous albums that are more diverse than that.
Yeah.
And these new albums that are more diverse.
Yeah.
How do you see At the Gates now? Do you think it's more diverse than just Slaughter of the Soul?
Yeah, and it's always been like that.
Yeah.
I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but Slaughter of the Soul is just an album.
Yeah.
Right? It's one of several albums that we've made. It just happened to, take on its own life.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic, and we're super, grateful that with all that it brought. But it is one-dimensional, and it was designed to be one-dimensional.
Yeah.
It came out of a rough period for us. It's like a primal scream of an album. It's just a reaction to really bad times we had. And we wanted to make like a classic direct metal album, but it through all the filters that we had growing up with the extreme music scene that we grew up inside. So
would you say that is the last At the Gates album from the At the Gates discography? Because when people talk about that album, they always mention like it's a milestone of the metal that it's the Gothenburg scene. Would you say that is the last At the Gates album from the whole thing?
That it's what?
The last At the Gates album, like the other albums are more you than only that album that shows only one side of the band.
Not really. It's definitely us. It's as much At the Gates as Red in the Sky or At War with Reality, or it's all us.
Yeah.
But there are different aspects of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, and maybe we'll do another album like that down the line. You never know. But it's I can say for sure that the next album is not going to sound like that.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's because it's a fine balance trying to look forward. Bring in new aspects to the sound, but keeping it true to whatever the essence of the band also.
Right.
And I think the newest one is a good example of that.
Yeah.
And we're gonna keep trying to do that. Keep the essence, but move forward, and simultaneously looking backwards. So
right. So how do you feel doing this tour, particularly with Behemoth and Wolves in the Throne? Because both of the other two bands, even though Behemoth is a death metal, but it's more on the blackish side of death, and Wolves in the Throne is just post-black, and you don't have anything to do with black metal at all. How do you feel about being involved in this tour?
It's perfect. It's a good diversity, and to me, I don't really care so much about subgenres. It's all metal.
Yeah.
To me, and if it's Wolves or Behemoth or At the Gates, it's all metal, and that's the yeah. And it's a good combination, and I think we complete each other on this tour.
Right. So you mentioned before that maybe the next album is going in another direction. So would you consider having other genres including on your music as well, or is it gonna be just death metal but in a different way?
It's too early to say, but as long as it's at the gates, it's going to be metal. You know, it's not going to be something completely different. But we're very broad-minded, all of us, all five of us, in our music taste. So I think we just even if we wanted to, we couldn't help bringing in new influences in the sound. So and that's the challenge of it also. You know, trying to incorporate, you know, whatever it is into to bring it under the At the Gates umbrella.
Yeah.
You know.
So it's inevitable to talk about the Gothenburg scene when we talk about At the Gates, but there's also a myth about the Gothenburg death metal scene. Do you think that it was taken out of proportion when people talk about this, especially people who didn't live in that era and weren't there?
Probably most of the like sub-genres and whatever it is are like afterhand constructs from music journalists. To us, there was never a Gothenburg sound. It was just us being at the gates.
Yeah.
And so I don't really only time I think about this is when people ask me in interviews.
Yeah.
So I don't really have an opinion.
So for you, it wasn't a scene at all. It was just metal bands playing on the same area.
Yeah. And yeah, that's basically it.
Right. So talking about Anders again, so you are doing your own thing, he's doing his own thing, but is the doors closed, or maybe if he asks you guys to come in the future and do something with you, there could be a collaboration, or he coming back to the band? What do you think?
Well, he seems to be completely out of metal, and so I don't think it's not realistic to, you know, we all miss him like hell as a friend, but he's always, I mean, he's not disappeared. He's still there in Gothenburg, you know, and he's a twin brother of Jonas.
Yeah.
So they still have the same relation as before.
Right.
And but it doesn't seem realistic to play metal with him again.
Right.
But you know, as for other musics, you know, I'm all for it. But right now, I think he's just fed up with music altogether. He wants to do something completely different.
Right.
But you never know. I'm sure that at least him and his brother are going to do something in the future.
Right.
But if it's going to take 2 months or 8 years, you never know.
Right.
Because he's got the music in him.
Right.
He just needs a
Do you
long
know
rest.
if he has heard the 239 album? Did he give you any feedback about it, or did you talk about it?
I'm sure he's talked to Jonas about it.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to Anders about it, but I think I think he likes it. I'm not sure. But I think so. Yeah.
All right.
He always said that Jonas writes the best stuff.
Yeah.
So and this album is all Jonas, so he should like it.